Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the official YouTube channel of Officer Survey 24/7. My name is Amanjot and I am here with all of you to discuss the Indian economy and Indian financial system. So as we all know that Indian economy and Indian financial system is a new subject for all of you. Now, Indian financial system, a lot of you have already studied in the old syllabi. If you are preparing for the JAIIB already, then if I talk about Indian economies are quite new for all of you. We no doubt we have all studied Indian economy in the exam of the school, like in a school we have studied the economics, but now a lot of years has been passed, we have not revised it or we have not studied it actually. So that's why it is very important that we should brush up our concepts of economics, and that's why we are starting with the module A of Indian economy and Indian financial system. Okay, so let's start the session. Before starting the session, those candidates who are live in the session, do let me know is audio video both are okay, are we good to go? So before starting to the topic, if you have not downloaded the 24/7 application yet, then do download the application. And also, if you have not subscribed to the channel Offices at 24/7, then do subscribe the channel and press the bell icon so that all the upcoming sessions notification will be given to you. So this is the YouTube channel where you find all your answers of queries. So this is our today's session. In last class, if you remember, we have discussed about LPG. We have discussed what is liberalization, privatization, and globalization. So we have discussed that. So in today's session, we are going to discuss what actually the reason behind introducing this reforms, like why we have done liberalization, why we have done privatization and globalization. That's what we are going to discuss today. Okay. So good morning, Tanushri. Chaliye, so everything is okay. Are we good to go? So let's start. If I talk about liberalization, let's revise a little bit of the yesterday's class. Liberalization means removing all the restrictions, rules, regulations of Government of India and removing the license Raj, permit Raj and quota Raj. Privatization means allowing the private companies to work in our economy, to work with the Government of India, to work within the country is the privatization. If we talk about the globalization, globalization means simply linking Indian economy with world economies is globalization. So when we start doing export-import, when we allow doing export-import, that is the globalization. Okay. Now let's just start. What is the reason behind introducing LPG reform? Achha, before that, right now a double validity with 81% off is going on if you have not enrolled yet. So this is the last chance to enroll, because after that this validity will be over. So now Y496 is the code. If you want to enroll in the JAIIB CAIIB Mahapack, you can go with it. With the double validity and 81% off. And also the target batch, I will be letting you know from when the target batch is going to start for the JAIIB. And if you know someone who is preparing for the CAIIB and was looking for the batches, though from today onwards the CAIIB batches has started with the new target batch with the new syllabus. So CAIIB batch has already started and JAIIB is going to start from 16th of December. So I will be telling you about the details of the batches and offer in the end of the session. Let's first continue with the LPG reforms. So if I talk about LPG, so you all know what is LPG: liberalization, privatization, globalization. Good morning, Rohan. Good morning, Jaya. So when we talk about liberalization, privatization, globalization, what was the reason why we have introduced this? What was the purpose behind introducing that? Why we opened our economy, why we started doing export-import? So it is very obvious that all the economies need to be open at some time, because the resources are limited, but the population is growing. So the demand of people are growing. So to control the demand, to fulfill that demand, you have to go to the international market to purchase the goods and services which is not available with us, so that you will be able to control inflation, you will be able to fulfill the needs of the population. Okay, and the reasons behind introducing the LPG policy is this. So first of all, factors will lead to 1991 economic reform. The first factor was rise in prices. So in our country, inflation was continuously rising. Okay, at that time inflation was continuously rising. Now what is inflation? Let's understand that. If I talk about inflation, what is inflation? So inflation is simply rise in the prices. Inflation is what? Inflation is rise in the prices. When the prices are continuously rising, that is known as inflation. Okay. Now, one of the reasons of introducing LPG policy was inflation. Why? Because what happened in the country, the goods and services, demand of people are keep rising, but the supply of goods and services was less. Okay, people were demanding more goods and services, but we have less supply of goods and services. Because of that, the prices started rising, and it reached to the galloping inflation. It reached to the galloping inflation. This is the third stage of inflation, where inflation remains between 10 to 20%. That is known as galloping inflation. This is the third stage of inflation, and this stage is known as a warning stage of inflation. This stage is known as a warning stage of inflation. Like if I talk about inflation, inflation is rising in the prices is inflation. When the prices are continuously rising is inflation. So in the inflation, there are four stages: creeping, trotting, galloping, and hyper. In our country, at the time of economic reform, we reached to the galloping inflation. Around 16% inflation was there in the country. So when the inflation come between the range of 10 to 20%, it became warning for the Central Monetary Authority, that is RBI in our country, and the government of the country. Because if the inflation become above the 20%, it will be changed into hyperinflation, and then it will be very hard to control the situation of the country. That's why we have introduced the LPG policy. So one of the reason is that around 16.67% inflation was there in the country. Because of that, one reason is that this is why we have introduced the inflation LPG policy. The second reason you can see here, fall in foreign exchange reserve. So I have explained you yesterday what is foreign exchange reserve. Now what does the mean of fall in foreign exchange reserve? Let's understand that. So when I talk about fall in foreign exchange reserve, what is it? First of all, foreign exchange means exchange of currencies. When you talk about foreign exchange, it means exchange of currencies. And when you maintain foreign exchange reserve, it means you are maintaining that foreign currency which came to your country with Reserve Bank of India. That is known as foreign exchange reserve. Okay? Now, the foreign exchange reserves remain only for 14 days in the country. Only for 14 days we have the foreign currency to pay our import bills. To pay our import bills. After 14 days, we will not be able at that time to pay our bills. Now, what we were importing? We were importing the crude oil at that time. I have told you in the open and closed economy wala session that India was the closed economy, but in tourism and crude oil, we were already importing these goods. Okay. So we were not capable of paying our import bills after 14 days because the foreign reserves left only for the 14 days, only for 2-week situation. So now it created the demand for the foreign currency reserve. That's why we have done the LPG. Okay, this is the second reason. The third reason you can see increase in adverse balance of payment. The third reason is balance of payment became deficit. You can call it deficit balance of payment. You can call it a deficit balance of payment. Okay, now what does it mean? Let's understand what is deficit balance of payment. Let's first understand what is balance of payment. So let's say this is India. For example, this circle is India. And whatever outside the India is, that is the rest of the world. Whatever outside this circle is, that is rest of the world. I'm writing it as a ROW, rest of the world. Okay. Now, India is doing economic transaction. India is doing economic transaction with rest of the world. Yes or no? India is doing economic transaction with the rest of the world. Now, in this rest of the world's economic transaction means what? The transactions which are related to money is economic transaction. Like you are doing export, import, you are doing investments, you are doing tourism, remittances. Okay, foreign investments is coming in the country. Grants are coming or going outside the country. So whatever money is coming inside the country and going outside the country is known as your balance of payment record. Okay, let's say the money is going with the import. When you are importing the goods, money is going out the country. That's the outflow of money, and this is the inflow of money. So when you are doing exports, money is coming. When you are doing investment, let's say for example, India's company investing in foreign company. The foreign company is investing in India. For example, Indians are remitting money, Indians are transferring money from India to abroad, or foreigners are transferring money, or the NRIs who are living outside our country, they are transferring money, etc. Okay, so these are the sources by which we are earning money from the foreign country and we are paying to them. So the inflow and outflow from the rest of the world, between India and rest of the world, that is known as balance of payment. So what is balance of payment? Balance of payment is the systematic record of all the economic transactions between India. Let me write it here. What is balance of payment? It is a systematic record. Record of what? Record of economic transactions. Record of economic transactions between India and rest of the world in a financial year. So in a financial year, whatever economic transactions happen between India and rest of the world, the systematic record of that transaction is known as your balance of payment. Okay, I hope it is clear. Let me know the balance of payment clear to all. Answer quickly. Is BOP clear to everyone? So BOP is nothing, just a systematic record of all the economic transaction. It means the money transaction which happened in a financial year between India and rest of the world. Like whatever money coming from outside the country or whatever money going to outside the country, that is known as your balance of payment. Let me know in the chat section if it is clear. Then do write clear so that I will be continuing the session. Okay, clear. So deficit balance of payment was there at the time of economic reform. Why we have introduced economic reform? Because there was deficit balance of payment. Now, what is deficit balance of payment? It means money what we have earned from foreign countries were less, what we have paid to the foreign countries were high. It means outflow was more than the inflow. The expenditure was more than the income. And this is the reason why we are saying that balance of payment was deficit. And when the balance of payment is deficit, what are you doing? You are doing export, import, investments, etc. in foreign currency. So because of this major outflow, the foreign currency reserve started decreasing and they remain only for 14 days. Okay, this is one of the reasons. Now, the next reason of introducing economic reform is fiscal deficit. Now, fiscal deficit means loss of government. When there is a loss of government is known as fiscal deficit. How to explain this? First of all, when we talk about budget of government of India, what is budget? Budget of government is simply the income and expenditure of government of India. This is the income and expenditure of government of India, right? In a financial year which we estimate. So whenever budget of government became deficit, whenever the budget of government became deficit, what does it mean? It means expenditure of government is more than what the government has earned. Like the sources of income for government of India is what? Your taxes is the sources by which government is earning money. Expenditure is government is doing expenditure on what? On the public welfare, social welfare scheme, on infrastructure, etc. Government is doing the expenditure on these things. And government is doing expenditure on these kinds of things. So expenditure is more than the income. Now what happens? Will government stop working? Because the budget, when you do the loss, whatever you have decided that this amount we will earn and this amount we will expend. So your expenditure is more now, but you have to continue your development. So what government do? After this budget deficit, government borrows the money. And that borrowings will be known as fiscal deficit. So borrowings from India, borrowings from abroad, borrowing from RBI will be known as fiscal deficit. So the borrowing of the government of India has increased. It means government has taken a lot of loan from the markets. And that is one of the reasons why we have to introduce the economic reform. After that, dismal performance of PSUs were not performing as per the requirement because they didn't have money. Only state monopoly was there. Government was working in the country. Government didn't have money. Government is already in the burden of the loan. So the public sector undertakings were not working properly. They were not able to give jobs to the people. They were not able to generate the income. They were not able to produce the goods and services. That's why inflation also increased. So public sector undertakings financial condition was very worse. Iraq war was there, Gulf war was there. Because of that, the prices of crude oil keep rising. The prices of crude oil became very high, and that's why our foreign currency reserves were reducing. That's why our balance of payment was also deficit, because we used to import the crude oil now, and the prices of crude oil because of the Gulf war has increased, and continuously was increasing. Because of that, our outflows increases. Because of that, our foreign currency reserves has been reduced, and that left only for 14 days. Now, the compulsion of World Bank and IMF. After happening all these things like inflation, Iraq war, prices of crude oil increases, BOP crisis, less foreign currency exchange, fiscal deficit, PSUs were not working properly. After all these issues, what happened when we are facing this? India went to IMF and World Bank. India went to the IMF and World Bank to ask for a loan, to ask for help, because India is the founding member of these two international organizations. World Bank is working, helping the country to remove poverty from the country, to develop the country, to reconstruct the country. And IMF helps the country in the economic crisis situation, in the situation when country is not capable of managing itself, their financial conditions. So India went to the World Bank and IMF, and these two institutions, under the World Bank, IBRD was there, and these two institutions said that we are ready to give you the loan, that we will give you loan, but we have a condition. And that condition was that India has to change its economic policy. The condition has been given by IMF and IBRD that we were ready to give you the loan, but you have to change your economic conditions. So you have to change your economic policy, because they also know that India is not properly using its resources. India is not letting other countries to use its resources. So if we give loan to India today, that will be okay. But after 10 years, India will be at the same position, because they are not using their resources, because they are not working as per they used to use their resources and work to develop their economy. And if the private companies are not in the market, if the economy will be not allowed to do export and import, they will never be able to grow. And if they are not able to grow, they will be not able to return our loans. So that's why they have given the condition, we are ready to give you the loan, but if and only if you do some economic reforms. If India do some economic reforms, and that's why we have introduced the LPG. Dr. Manmohan Singh was the finance minister at that time, and he has introduced the LPG. Okay. And after that, they have given us the loan of $7 billion. They have given us the loan of $7 billion after we have introduced the LPG policy. So these are the reasons, or these are the reasons I can say, or I can say factors because of which India has introduced the LPG policy. I hope it is clear to all of you. So do remember the concepts behind these terms and why we have introduced this policy. That is important, because the LPG policy is very important to know. Okay. Now this is all for today. Clear to all? Let me know all the terms are clear to all. If you have any doubt, you can ask right now. Now the one offer for all of you right now, there are 20. If we talk about from 16th of December, the JAIIB batches are going to start. And for today, 81% off is going on. If you use the code Y496, you will be getting this offer, because this offer will be end at 12 p.m. today. Okay. And on the Mahapacks, there is double validity going on with 81% off. So you can enroll here by using the code Y496. You can enroll here also. And if I talk about the offer, that is valid till 12 p.m. only. The difference between the Mahapack and target batch is that the target batch is only going to talk about the conceptual classes. When it comes to the Mahapack, Mahapack talks about what? It talks about all the conceptual classes, live classes, your video courses. Apart from video courses, you will be finding here the MCQ batches, revision batches, case study batches, mock test, ebook, everything will be available in the Mahapack. So to enroll in the individual batch, you can go here, JAIIB 2023. If you want to go with the Mahapack, you can click here. And I think Mahapack will be cost effective for you, because right now double validity is going on and 81% off is going on. After 12 p.m., this offer will be remain for 78% and double validity will not be there. So you can see here, this is how you have to enroll. Just click on the buy now. Here you enter a code Y496 and click on the enter. You will find 80% of it is showing, and 1% additional discount will be available. If you use the code Y496, 81% off will be there. 1% off will be available if you use the coins in the application. 2 years validity will be there. It will cover your JAIIB exam as well as CAIIB exam. So you don't have to invest any more after investing in the JAIIB and CAIIB Mahapack. Everything will be available here. Okay. And you have to pay around 10,800 rupees to enroll here. And the code will be Y496. And this is the process to enroll in the Mahapacks. Okay. So this is all for today. And information for all of you is that at morning 7 a.m. we are meeting for the principles and practices of banking subject, and at 8 a.m. we are meeting for the Indian economy and Indian financial system subject. So do not forget to join both the session at 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. Monday to Saturday. Okay. So this is all for today. I hope the LPG reforms are clear to all of you. If you still have any doubt, you can ask. And if you are watching the video after it ends, you can ask in the comment section also. I will be checking your comment and answering there. Apart from that, those candidates who are live in the session, if you like the session, do not forget to press the like button, and do not forget to share the session with your friends who are preparing for the same exam on the Telegram channels and WhatsApp group wherever you are linked with them. Last but not the least, if you are new to the channel of Offices Adda 24/7, then do not forget to subscribe the channel and press the bell icon so that all the upcoming sessions notification will be given to you. Okay, so thank you for joining the session and take care.